gardeners have a problem or find it difficult getting bell peppers to produce a whole lot here in Florida. The thing with bell peppers is bell pepper don't do well in these potting mix. Is this really the end of our cold spell here in Florida? Well, I hope so. Today is the 24th of February 2026 and we're down to 34 degrees right now, which is quite cold but not as bad as 3 weeks ago. After that last cold spell 3 weeks ago, I think we got a full spring where the temperatures went up back into the 80s, and maybe a lot of gardeners got tricked that we were all in now for springtime and start planting. Even myself was thinking that this is it. But now, looking at things, I think this is our last cold spell for the season. These type of weather patterns, they are really not normal for us Florida gardeners, and it can also be demoralizing at times when you go out, plant things, and then the cold just snap back and burn things away. But look at the bright side, everyone. These events, they really happen like every 20 years. So it would be like what you call a vicenial event. And we can go through these. Moreover, we're in the subtropics. We will recover and we will all bounce back. So just don't worry too much about it. But for me, I think this is the end of winter for us here in Central Florida, or in Florida on a whole. I think this is the end of winter for us. For most of you who have been following along with me, know that this winter we have had very cold temperatures here in Central Florida, or in Florida on a whole, and that for me personally, most of my plants died back. I've lost maybe 90% of what I was supposed to plant during my spring months. So now I have to be going to the stores to get seedlings, and seedlings are a bit difficult to get in the stores right now because most of what you're seeing in the store are of very low quality. Most of us gardeners lost a lot of seedling and mature crops and have to be starting over. It's sad, but it's just a part of gardening. When nature takes its toll, all we have to do is restart and come again. But the good thing in a subtropical or tropical environment, climate, is that it's easy to restart most things, and that is what we're going to talk about in this video today. So March is coming up on us, and that is going to be our New Year's here in the tropics and subtropics. That's when spring comes into effect for us, naturally in the garden, not on paper. So if you're in Central or North Florida, this video is really going to be the video for you, because now gardeners in Central and North Florida will need to start focusing on warm weather crop. I know you hear a lot about warm weather and hot weather crop, but they're basically the same. It's a thin line between them, and I'm going to try to explain it as best as possible to you guys. Wording can really throw you off when it comes to gardening. If you follow everything that you hear, sometimes you will just get confused. So let me just try to give it to you guys. When it comes to warm weather, or what they call hot weather crop, as I said, they are basically the same. Warm weather crops are crops that does better in warmer time. However, some warm weather crops are classified as hot weather crops just because of their heat tolerance. So that's basically the difference. So okras and even spicy peppers that you hear people say that they are hot weather crops, they are really warm weather crops, but they can tolerate hot weather. so they're not really hot weather crop. All these crops, they perform better when the time is warm. When the time gets really hot, most of them or a lot of them can tolerate that heat, but they don't necessarily does better in the high 90s or mid 90s. It's not the best for them. They just tolerate it better than other plants. So it doesn't make them a hot weather crop. So you have cold weather crop and warm weather crop. Crops that can tolerate more cold than other, and crops that can tolerate more heat than others. That's all there is to it. So just don't get confused about it, guys. We're going to talk about seed starting for the month of March for gardeners in Central and North Florida, and for gardeners in most subtropical and even tropical areas also. So I'm not going to be zoning it down. This is a broad one. So for me, for the month of March, I'm going to be starting warm season crop like okras, maybe 2 or 3 plant of Roselle. That's what we call sorrel in Jamaica. And I'm going to be going in with my cucumbers, watermelons, bell peppers, and spicy peppers. Most of those things are what I'm going to be going in with right now. For tomatoes, I've already put tomato suckers in ground already. They are doing well so far. It's just this final cold spell that we're going through, and tonight going to be the 24th of February, which is Tuesday. So come tomorrow, Wednesday, I can start putting seeds in ground, maybe by midday tomorrow or early Thursday morning. I'm going to be start putting like things like watermelon, which I went ahead and I put some watermelons in ground last week, but I didn't want to advise you guys on doing that because that's just a risk that I take on an annual basis by going in with a few watermelons early, and if they burn back, I'll just go again and reseed because that's a small loss. A pack of watermelon seed is like for $2 or $1.99. So I'll take that risk most of the time with my watermelon on an annual basis. Let me just take you over to where I have those watermelons, and I'm also going to tell you why I start those watermelon, what give me that cue to start my watermelon on an annual basis, or even cucumbers. I put them in last week. I dropped these seeds and already they have germinated and start growing. So the time is warm enough for them. However, these 1 and 2 cold snap will hurt them or can hurt them. Hopefully, if we can get through tonight, these will be good and I won't have to be planting any more watermelons for this season. These should be good for me to take me through. One right here, you can see the leaves, they are curling back a bit. That's just because of the cold spell. But with this, what you do, it's like a hamstring tear. You keep icing that hamstring with your watermelons or your cucumbers, your vinyl crop. If you plant them and you're going to get a 1 night or 2 night cold spell, water, water, water. Just keep watering them. You won't kill them or you won't do any harm to them by overwatering them for a day or 2. For those vining crops, my watermelons and cucumbers, to know when to put them into ground most of the time, I take a cue from what I think you guys here call bitter melon. In the Caribbean or in Jamaica, we call it Cersei. Once those Cersei or bitter melons start germinating, a week or 2 after that, that's when you know you can go in and start planting your vining crop here in Central Florida, or most part anywhere, because those plants naturally they comes up just after the last frost thereabout or close to your final frost date. That's when those plants start germinating naturally. So the moment you start seeing them coming up, that's when you know that they're about you can start putting your seed or moving your seedling outside. If you start your watermelons or cucumbers, your squashes from seeds inside and you want to take those seedlings outside, you can take them out, get them to acclimatize, and then you can put them in the ground a few days after. I watered yesterday, but I'm coming in with the water again because even though this is a cold spell we're going through, what happened is it's dry here. So the sun is out, the time is cold, and everything is getting crispy and dry. So you need water on these vegetables right now just to take them through this 2 days that we're going through. After which, maybe by midday tomorrow, I'm supposed to be good again here, and I'll just leave these things to dry out for maybe another 3 or 4 days before I go in with any form of water on them. This weekend we should be getting some rain also. That's the next thing. As a gardener, you must be interested in the weather. Watch, look out, know when rain is coming in. Use those little things within the garden to know when to do things, when to back off with the water and when to go in with more water. It makes no sense you go in with a deep watering in the morning and in the afternoon you have rain in the forecast. Makes no sense. It's best you wait and the rain doesn't come and then you go ahead and water. But if you water in the morning, rain comes in the evening, it's the same thing as overwatering. Let me just go over a few things that I've already mentioned and a couple other things that can be started now, whether it be by seed or seedling. First one, and this is a spring or warm weather classic, and that is going to be tomato. You can go ahead and start putting your seedling in ground anytime now. If you're in Central Florida, North Florida, or even South Florida. If you're in South Florida, you could have gone ahead maybe a week, 2 weeks ago. On a normal basis, South Florida could have gone ahead from early February and start putting in tomato seedling in ground. However, with the conditions that we're having now, I think you guys can go ahead anytime now. For us here in Central Florida, it's a good time. But one other thing with tomatoes, if you're going to be starting tomatoes from seed now and you're in Central or North Florida, it's going to be challenging. Reason being, they're not going to come in time long enough for you to get a long harvesting season. So it's going to be a bit tricky. What will work if you go with a smaller variety of tomato instead of those big 1 pound tomatoes or so, you go with a less like a 8 ounce or a lesser size tomato. If you're in Florida here and you can get your hands on the Everglades tomato, those would be a great choice. They're tiny. Those are what we call plummy or cherry tomato back in the Caribbean, but here they call them the Everglades tomato. I call them the Florida glazed tomato here, but you know what I'm talking about. If you can get your hands on those are very heat tolerant, and also they will resist a lot of pests that other tomatoes won't be able to resist that easily when the time heats up. Eggplant is the next one, but I know not everyone eat or know how to prepare eggplant. So if you're going to be putting in eggplant, you can search the internet, scour the internet, see if you can find some recipes that you think you and your family may enjoy, and you can go ahead, try something new. And the sweet thing about eggplants, they really thrive well in hot summer condition. So they are not hot weather crop, they are warm weather crop, but they can do well with the heat of the summer, especially here in Central Florida or in Florida on a whole. Okras is also a next one. Okras can tolerate extreme heat and they will resist most of your pest pressure in the garden. Watermelon, cantaloupe and cucumber, those vining crop, are good to start now here in Central Florida. A lot of gardeners may not try or do watermelon because of various reasons, But if you're someone who enjoy a nice, cool, sweet watermelon over the summer period, you can go ahead and start your watermelons now from seed, even your cantaloupe from seed. I think they do much better, and this is just my opinion, when you start them from seed. Whenever you go in with transplant for whether it be watermelons, cucumbers, or cantaloupe, they struggle quite a bit. Normally, when I start watermelons from seed in February, they are out of the garden by about end of July, and by then I'll get multiple watermelons from those plants. So go ahead, try your watermelons. You can get a pack of seed for about $1.99, depends on where you're getting your seeds from. But most watermelon seeds from your big box store will do well here in Central Florida. That's what I know for sure. I've been doing this for quite a while now, and very few watermelon seed fail here in Florida. Summer squash is also another good one if you want to start something, but once you say summer squash, you're going to be talking about pumpkins, things like Seminole pumpkin, Indian pumpkin, all those other pumpkin variety can be planted now in Central Florida also, and they will tolerate the heat most of the time. So as long as when you get down to those summer month, the crunchy part of summer month, when we're up into the 90s, mid 90s in the days, and hardly getting any rain some of the time, because our summer month is normally our monsoon season here in Florida, and that's when we get most of our rainfall. So it kind of help out. But if you're not getting enough rainfall, then sure to go in and water those pumpkins. Sweet potatoes are also great to start now in March. They are a great warm weather crop. Some people use them as a cover crop, but if you're a small backyard gardener, put them in a grow bag or something like that, a container. Don't go and put your sweet potatoes in your main bed where you're rotating things. Most of the time you're gonna have problem. That sweet potato may become a weed in those beds for you in the later months when you want to plant other crops in those beds. So put the sweet potatoes in grow bags where you can control them, and it's also an easier way to harvest those sweet potato when the time comes for them to be harvested. For beans, things like red kidney peas, bush pole bean, cowpeas, all of those other type of beans, I would wait off a bit until maybe end of March. If you're in Central Florida, if you're in South Florida, you can go ahead and start those now. But for me personally, I would wait out a bit more until the end of March before I start putting in those beans. Amaranth, what we call callaloo in Jamaica, that's also a next great warm weather crop. And those are going to be coming in like crazy in my garden just about now. They've already started to germinate, and I know they're going to be a problem for me this season. But I'll try to control them. What I can't give away, I'll give to the chickens and rabbit to eat. But in my opinion, amaranth, they're like one of the greatest survival crops because they seed so much, they seed a lot, and those seeds can stay in the ground in storage for years, and they will germinate on a seasonal basis and comes out of the ground. And every time that plant comes, as long as you don't harvest it before it's seed, you're going to be getting thousands of seed from that one plant going back into storage into your soil. So amaranth is the next great one. It's a first time gardener's choice in my opinion if you and your family eat amaranth. Amaranth is the king in the garden. For most of these warm season crop that I'm talking about, the ideal soil temperature for rapid germination is going to be between 70 degrees Fahrenheit and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. However, even without ideal soil temperatures, these seeds will germinate. So the ideal temperature is really what is going to give you maximum germination, fast germination also. But temperatures below that can give you germination. However, it's going to be at a slower rate, and maybe you will get less things coming out, less result. The next warm season crop that you guys can go ahead and start now is Roselle, or Florida hibiscus, what we call sorrel in Jamaica. That's our next good one. For us, we normally use it in the later months, down in December, to make our sorrel wine or sorrel juice, or even to put it in our black cake. It's a Caribbean staple, and you can go ahead and start that one now in your garden. If you're a new gardener and you're just thinking about the beauty of garden and things that you're seeing on the internet, and you're thinking about starting brassicas here in Florida, if you have seedling, you could have gone ahead and transplanted those seedlings. It, it is not too late right now for cabbages. However, if you're going to be starting broccolis or cauliflower, it's a no-no at this point. Starting those things from seed, it's definitely a no-no. If you have cabbage seedling, you may go ahead and just get them out in the garden now. Try to push them hard and try to see if you can get them out of the garden before the heat comes in, because cabbages, brassicas on a whole, they don't do well in the heat. Your broccolis and cauliflower, they're going to go to seeding, and you won't get anything from them. So those are for the later months. If you're a new gardener and you don't understand what's happening, those are going to be for your fall months. So you're going to start sowing those seeds at the end of August, early September, for you to have a fall brassica season. Bell peppers, banana peppers, spicy peppers, whether it be jalapeno, scotch bonnet, now is the time for you to go in and start planting those peppers. You can even start them from seed right now, and you won't miss out on anything. Gardeners have a problem or find it difficult getting bell peppers to produce a whole lot here in Florida. The thing with bell peppers is bell pepper don't do well in these potting mix that we're putting them in. Most of these bags that we buy at the store with these mixes, they don't contain enough soil, and bell peppers need soil. They need a retainer to hold that nutrient for the plant. So planting bell pepper in a lot of these potting mix, the plant will grow. You will get a pepper or two here and there. However, they won't produce as much. So if you're in Florida, even with the sandy soil that we have here, and you notice I said sandy soil because people tend to say Florida is sand, but it's a sandy soil. It still have a bit of everything inside of it. However, sand is the main component. If you can mix that with whatever soil you buy at the store and plant your bell pepper in that mix, you will, or you should, get better results with your bell peppers. But bell peppers do well in Florida. It's a very long list of warm weather crop that we can start planting now in our gardens here in Florida. And if I should go on, this would take hours. So down in the comment section, tell me what warm weather plant will you be planting this season, and let's have a discussion about it down there in the comment section. That's going to be it from Country Morrow. God bless you all. See you in the next one. Happy gardening and cheers.